Hello.
How are you?
It's good. I would love to have had more sleep, but here we are.
Damn, but we got it. It's the summer. It's
Yeah,
hard. Saturday morning, y'all. We love you so much that we will wake up after staying up till 4 a.m.
yeah. Did you stay up late too?
I did. I stayed up too late. Far too late. Um,
Yeah.
yeah, it's good.
It's the end of summer, so you
You have
gotta
to. That's the rules of
do
summer.
stuff.
I don't I don't have, I don't make the rules of summer.
I have never, ever, in all of my many years here, been here when there is a beach day,
Yeah.
and I am I am seeing slight potential on Monday. And
Monday, Tuesday.
fingers crossed, that could be fun.
It could be really good. I have been to many a beach day here. Having raised a child in San Francisco, it's where you take them. It's like, there's parks, but they go on their own to parks. So,
Yeah.
you know.
Well, I mean, it's so often like cold and windy though, right? And
Right.
like there's like 3 or 4 days a year when it's like perfect, right?
Right. Yeah, exactly. It's usually too cold. I could never get my kid to bring a jacket to the beach because it's the beach. What do you mean a jacket to the beach? And like I'm like, you've been there 50,000 times. Every time you complain that you're cold, you're gonna bring a jacket, and then I would have to like secret a jacket away in my bag because no, I'm
Yeah.
not bringing a jacket. It's the beach. It would get all wet and then they'd be cold
Yeah.
every single time.
Yeah.
I bet they're still doing it, frankly. Um,
Yeah. I grew up in Oregon where it's like even worse. It's like ne
oh
there's
yeah.
no never a warm day at the
There's
beach.
theoretically beaches in Oregon. They're purely theoretical. They're mental constructs that
Uh-huh.
no, they're not real. I don't know. I don't believe in the beaches. I've lived in
There
Portland.
there's some good like inland like in Portland there are a couple of really popular like beaches that will have a couple of hot days a year too. So it's kind of similar where there's like if everything's perfect, there's a beach day. But
Exactly. Yeah. Yeah. It's like 5 days. You better not miss them. You better not have planned travel during those times. It's just not a
yeah,
thing. I'm gonna go live
yeah.
on TikTok, and my way of TikTok doesn't do multi-stream, and so I have to use my phone every time. But it
Same. I
works.
have I
It
have
works.
my phone here. Yeah.
Like it's multi-device, hardware multi-stream, you know. It works technically.
Somebody said, nice beard. I actually resolved to get rid of it after Burning Man this year and to go back to like not having a beard for a while, but it hasn't happened yet. So,
Post Burning Man, like reset of your body and all of the I need to do my roots. I need to touch up the dye, like all kinds of stuff. But it's like, okay, I just got most of the caustic dust off of the things that are the most important, and I need to stop moving now.
exactly. Yeah.
Yeah, that's the process. Let's see, we got books coming in. Yes, okay, good. Um, there's been some like cybersecurity news, I feel. There's been some other news that seems big but difficult to comment on because they're just coming after folks. Um,
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I mean, and all like a lot of the words, even with that story that you sent, it's like that like we can't say half the words on that.
right, exactly. Um, I mean, I don't know. Let's see. Which story I sent several, I sent so many stories. There's so many like
Oh,
in the
what
group
if we
chat.
what if we
Can't show the group chat. It's too spicy for any social media.
what if we do like one of these? Can we do that?
Oh, yes.
Because then we're
Hold on. Turn it all the way down. There we go.
okay. Oh no, I need to like turn off the volume.
Hey, we're co-hosting. Nice. Nice. Now you're on there twice. That's great. I love it.
Cool.
I could turn mine around. Oh, we're definitely professional streamers, everyone. We're super, super. Nope, that's live gift. Flip. Okay. Hey, works. Okay, cool.
We're like multiple redundant hardware and software live streaming,
That's,
multi-streaming.
that's what it takes. That's what it takes. Um, I have a lot of respect for streamers now. I used to be like, "Ah, streamers, that's not even a real job." Now I'm like, oh, that was a silly thing to say. Yeah.
Yeah. I used to DJ full time and like I was like for like over 20 years I've been doing that. And I have like before that I was working in a TV studio that's like run by children when I was like 11. There was like an 11-year-old TV studio
What?
and
Hold
yeah,
on.
my middle
Rewind. Run that
it
back.
was like a public access but we did a daily broadcast and it was my
Oh,
middle school in Ashland had a TV studio, but it was all kids. So it's like you're doing the like the anchors, the people doing the cameras, the people doing the like edit like like doing the transitions and stuff with hardware, right? And it's always kind of struck me as odd that that never caught on with like streaming because like having the physical device that you plug the camera into and it's like and now we're panning across or we're switching to this one or it's kind
yeah.
of odd to me that I'm sure that stuff can't be expensive anymore and
Yeah, it's all what you get kids for Christmas these days. That's like the thing. It's like streamer bundle top of t Toys R Us.
yeah but those are all like very like low quality basically just like macro keypads you know like
Hmm.
even the like the mixers that I've seen, it's like I would love to like be able to use like the stuff I was using when I was 11 years old to do this, where it's like I can much more easily like pan and zoom and like all that stuff with like live video.
People are struggling to hear. I think because the only mic on TikTok is the phone, but it's right next to the computer. And so it's like I could turn it.
Do you have your computer muted?
No, because, well, wait, hold on. Will that work? Hold on. If I do this, yes, it still works. So then I could listen on this, or I could do headphones like a professional. I could just put headphones on like I know what I'm doing. Um, just as if I knew what I was doing. Okay.
People are saying I have an echo, but I don't see how I could have an echo. If it's me echoing, it's probably me on your computer echoing,
You
right?
guys, I'm so sorry. It's me. Uh, speakers. This one? How's that? Say words?
Hello.
Hello.
Do I sound okay now, everyone?
Yeah. Can folks on Instagram hear CJ? If y'all could give me a
Does it sound normal?
let's see. Yes, I got a wave.
Perfect. People are saying perfect.
Okay, great. Perfect.
Okay,
Excellent. Thank you. All right. All right. Please let us know if you can't hear anything.
cool.
Um,
People are saying it's good.
yeah. Oh, okay. Good. So anyway, what were we on about? I mean, I think more stuff like that where like a bunch of kids run a thing. Those are like the best educational
Yeah,
experiences. Like those are
yeah.
super. I prefer stuff like that. Like if you can get people to run a thing, then they really understand. And if it's known that it's run by like what is it? The NSBE, the National Society of Black Engineers, is run entirely by students at universities, right? And then you graduate and you become a mentor to the people who take over who are students. And that's
Mm,
like how it works. And it's like huge. everyone loves it. People get jobs, they have great outcomes, and the people who run it have incredible outcomes, like top tier outcomes. I'm all about
Yeah,
outcomes. So, I really think that kind of stuff is like that's how people get real skills. I like it.
yeah. I've tried that reminds me of like what you do essentially. Like this the different pedagogic approach of like let's do it, right?
Yeah, let's like actually get in and figure it out.
I've tried to explain to several people recently like what your thing is, and I'm not sure if I am saying it the way you would. So I'm curious how you explain what it is that you do with uh your business.
Like, it's an anarchist learning community, is kind of what I tend to tell people. It's
That's what I've been saying. Okay.
yeah, yeah. I mean, it's very much, and people are on Instagram, so they can't hear now. So I'm like, let me figure that out. But
Uh,
yeah, no, I mean, it's a pretty cool thing. It's largely a lot of classes are run by people just in the community. Um, so
but it's also like not a fluff, right?
it's not a what?
Not a fluff. No, it's like no one turned away for lack of funds,
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah. If anybody is
which is like
wants,
the coolest part.
yeah, 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 yeah. We're like sometimes it's 20%, sometimes it's like 40%. Um, but yeah, oh, you know what? I could turn this down and then this
Oh,
up.
people
No,
can't hear me on Insta.
on Insta, yeah. Hold on. How do I
Hmm.
add a new source? Oh,
I think you can are you using
stories.
Streamlabs?
Yes, sources. Sound
You can do desktop audio and still have it the speakers muted
desktop.
in the mixer.
Audio output capture. Add source. Add
It's funny
source.
like how not intuitive all of this is.
Yeah, I'm monitor off. Monitor and output. Okay. Well, hopefully tell me now once the stream catches up with with that setting change. It looks like I'm getting, well, no, it says
I've
uh,
been like considering trying to build some kind of like mobile streaming device. Like because you have your computer, right? And then the if you could just have like the output of the computer going to a separate device that's streaming just that, I feel like that would make it so much less complicated because you know it's already getting everything and it's already streaming to everywhere.
yes, yeah, exactly.
Like whatever you're
Um,
hearing is what it's broadcasting.
that would be great. And it's also really hard to do, I think,
Yeah.
from a multi-stream setup, you know. It's really the multi-stream thing that's
Yeah,
hard. I don't know.
totally. But it's weird because like this laptop that I'm on is like a Ultrabook, like it's like super fancy. And I spent all my financial aid on it a couple of years ago.
Ah,
And it's great, but like it can do one, but it cannot do two
huh.
stream. Like it can do like streaming to one, but not to two. But then like my desktop for some reason it's like give me 20. It's like it's fine. I don't even notice. It's like 1% usage. And it's like maybe it's an extensions thing or a like a GPU thing. I don't know, but I think it's also like these use cases are like not well understood, which is
It's
exactly
true.
what's going on with like AI today.
It's true. Wait, I think I gotta drop the co-host thing because it's not translating. Nobody can hear you anywhere else. I don't know
Oh,
how to do it.
oh,
All right.
okay.
All right. I don't know how to make the co-host thing not be happening.
Uh, neither do I. Is the
Multi-guest, pause live settings. Like, what if you just accidentally let somebody on who's just like a total Yahoo and you're like, get off my live, and they're like, no. Like, how do you change things?
How do I?
Mute, remove background noise.
What is this? There's so many fucking
Ooh, you know
buttons on
what?
here.
You know what? I could do this. Here, how about this? I'll do this. And then I'll do this. Then headphones.
Oh,
Yes.
somebody.
Can y'all hear me on TikTok? How
Can people hear?
about that? I don't know. Let's see. Hold on. Oh, no. GoPro. All right, there you go.
It's working?
It seems like it's working.
I wonder, like, how, if I accidentally added someone, like, how do I kick them off? I don't know.
Yeah. Like there's no way. There's no way to actually do it. Oh no.
Somebody said, I've been meaning to ask you guys for a one-page Meshtastic tutorial poster. And it occurs to me that that would be a really good, like, zine.
It is a really good zine. Yeah. We
There
have
probably are zines of that, right?
yeah. I've made some really cool pages with ChatGPT by having it come up with the zine as JSON first. And there's
Hmm.
this term model, no, what is it called? JSON context. JSON context. I don't know why the word context is telling the model to do it, but it's if you use other terms for it, it doesn't do it as well.
Yeah, that's
So,
common. There's a
yeah,
lot of that. They will do like all like some subset of like fine tuning where it's like every single prompt has this keyword in it, and then it learns to like, especially with stable diffusion, there's a lot of like keywords you can say like what's the other one that you have to pay for that's like stable diffusion that's like better? I don't remember.
I mean, there's a bunch of them, but
It's like it's like a Slack thing. It's like the only
oh,
like
Midjourney, the first
yeah,
one. Yeah, yeah.
and it's like the only profitable
Discord.
AI company. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
But they that word is like a is like a trigger for a lot of diffusion models to take that approach, I guess. It's like a certain approach because it's included in all the training that's like really good. And I think also with tool use and like thinking, for example, or like reasoning before that, like you can say no thinking or and it like switches it to this other set of training that it is like separate somehow in the latent space.
yeah. Okay, I tell you what I'm gonna do. There's like so much, so many people are like not having a good time. I'm gonna quit
Uh,
the live and come back in to
okay.
TikTok. All right, I'll see you and
Okay.
in Zoom. Dismiss. Okay, start live. Go. Okay.
If people on TikTok want to be able to hear the whole uh conversation, look at my
Yeah,
screen name, which tells you where to go.
that's true. It's on many, many different platforms. Okay. And then that'll press sounds. Oh, there we go. Um, okay. Is that better, Instagram? Just give me a shout once the thing catches up. Um,
Is there like a delay?
yeah, on Instagram there's like a 1 minute delay.
Oh, wow.
TikTok looks live to me, but I can't really tell, you know. So we'll see. They'll respond here in a minute. Um, anyway,
The purple one is pretty fast.
yeah, the purple one's been doing it a minute though. They know what they're doing. The other ones are just copying the purple one. So
Yeah.
I have not been able to keep up because of the like sound mixing nonsense that I've been doing. So
Uh,
I'm sorry. I'm like, what is happening? We were talking about a whole bunch of really interesting stuff.
uh,
Um, yeah, I mean like, you know, there's like all these different models out there. That's what we were talking about just a second ago. Yeah, I was like running it back in my head there, you know. Um, yeah, I kind of stopped using Midjourney because they're the like least copyright friendly one, I feel like.
oh,
Yeah, uh they were like the first one and they were like they got built off of ImageNet and Clip Clip was trained off of, I think, open source publicly licensed data, but not ImageNet. And that's the like generative noise one.
Oh,
And so I think because ImageNet was just it was like Wikimedia, but then it was a bunch of other random stuff off of Flickr. Um, and like not their publicly licensed catalog, which is huge, but not big enough to train one of those early models. But what was it? There was this one that I saw recently that's like Pixar, maybe? Let's see.
have you seen the new Quinn one?
No, or which new Quinn one?
It's called Quinn Image. It's a totally new like paradigm. It's like
Oh,
um not it doesn't work with any like of the like automatic 1111 or anything yet.
free pick. That's it. Um, yeah, there's this one free pick that's like built off of an open source model trained on licensed data and
Oh,
F-Lite and yeah, you can download it, you can run it, you can fine tune it. It generates good stuff. So yeah, F-Lite. And they made some list somewhere of what um it says it's
is that related to Flux?
uh Flux.
It's like F.lux.
No, it's not.
So good. Also free.
Yeah. Yeah, I feel like most of the ones that are like trained on open source data end up being free too. Free as in beer and free as in speech. So, you know,
Beer.
free, you haven't heard free as in beer and free as in speech, as in it doesn't cost anything and you have rights about it.
Oh,
Yeah. So, yeah, I don't know.
huh.
Yeah.
I just discovered something that has like totally changed my relationship with AI and with like software and technology in general,
What
which
is
is this chasm. Have you heard of chasm
uh, chasm?
with a K?
With a K. I feel like I have.
It's like a VM that has Docker, and then
Uh,
there's this whole registry of workspaces that you can like spin up and then use and then keep or like just destroy, right?
mm,
So I'm working on building this is a project I've been working on for a while and like seeing it in that context, it makes me so excited about doing more agentic stuff because you can
mm,
have it say like I want this container and it's got like all of the like CLI tools and they're all connected to my like router that is like using all these models that I like or whatever. And you can just spin up an instance of it, download whatever repository you want to work on, have it do its thing, because none of them are doing version control. Like none of these CLI tools are doing version control. So it has to be containerized, but there's no good interface for that. But with this tool, you can just like have this Docker container that's ephemeral, download your stuff, do whatever you're going to do, push it, keep it, or just like throw it away, if it's not good. So it seems like it's kind of doing like what Codex does, but it's like doing it on your computer and you have more control over like what's happening under the hood and it's like very like potentially very exciting. And it's
yeah.
like fast and and free and there's already this whole registry of like workspace containers that people have built for like Blender and like like whatever. There's like a
Mm.
VS Code one and
Having a good hypervisor that's like performant and can handle device sharing is like been one of the things that kind of holds back a lot of open source. Is that stuff really recent that it came out? Chasm?
I'm not sure. But I know like the other thing you mentioned, that's why I'm switching everything to Proxmox right now because they have you can expose PCI devices to VMs.
Hmm.
So it bypasses the licensing requirements from NVIDIA because you can't use graphics cards in VMs except under like really like the NVIDIA drivers are specifically designed to prevent it from working unless you pay for this egregiously expensive license. But instead of using like the pass-through or like virtual graphics cards, you can just expose the PCI device to the VM, and that you don't need a license for. So that like changes everything because now I can
Yeah,
run all of the
all
stuff
the things.
and I
I
can
mean,
still manage it remotely and
oh, the video where you were talking about this is where I heard about it, actually. That's
oh
where, yeah, I was like, it sounds familiar. It was you. It was literally you talking about how much faster your setup is because you've got all of the memory, all of the t all of the
yeah.
processing. That's pretty
Yeah,
cool.
it's great. I haven't been able to use more than 24 gigs of VRAM for like the last year or something.
Yeah,
So now I can use it all.
that would prevent me from making the tokens go burr. I don't know. I mean, I try not to use the corporate models a lot, unless I'm doing a corporate thing, you know. But like having like once MLX came out and like made Quen 3, I don't know, 24 tokens a second or something, like locally, you can just hook it
Yeah,
into whatever agentic coder you like and just
like
have
on your
it.
phone.
Yeah, it's great. It's
Yeah.
super awesome. But yeah, I use the 32B model and it's like as capable as Claude. It's great. It's fine.
Even like the 4 is like really good.
Yeah. Yeah. Um, I think like oh, the 4? What?
They have
Oh,
a
the
4
4B
billion.
model? Oh yeah, I
Yeah.
haven't really tried the 4B model.
It's good. It's like great. And
Like,
it gets like an 88% on the MMLU Redux.
okay. The Redux is like more sophisticated and also like cleaned up.
Yeah.
Um, that's pretty good. Yeah. There's all these people trying to do meta benchmarks out there, benchmarks of benchmarks of benchmarks and how stable performance and all that kind of stuff. So it seems
Yeah.
like we're getting better cross coordination between all these different research groups, It's not just like random
Yeah.
people being like, I came up with 30 things that they all suck at. Okay, now they're all mysteriously good at it in the next generation.
Yeah.
Did they
But
train on the data?
right, right. Yeah, and it's interesting because like that argument that you've made is like always in my head, but then also there's this sort of like meta layer to that problem. Like with like if you look at like CPU instruction set architectures for the last 20 years, right? Like a high-end CPU today is not faster than a high-end CPU from 10 years ago. It's often slower, right? Like the clock frequency on this Ultrabook is like 1.5 to 4, right? So it's like it could be 1.5, right?
Yeah.
And um the things that they are better at is the things that we didn't want to do before, right? So like the big example today is matrix multiplication. So like
Hmm.
this B50, have you seen this B50?
No.
Intel has a new graphics card that's supposed to be competing with NVIDIA. It
Okay.
it's not it doesn't.
No.
But but it achieves something that they've never done before, which is like the fundamental flaw of CUDA. The fundamental flaw, like the limiting factor of CUDA, is the fact that it takes 2 cycles to do multiply and accumulate,
Hmm. Hmm.
which is why everybody's saying like ternary would be so much better. You don't have to, you just add, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
But this is also the big argument that the FPGA manufacturers are making is that they can do both at the same time.
What?
Um,
Ternary and
they
or
can
oh
do
yeah, yeah, they can add
multiply
and
and
yeah,
yeah.
multiply and accumulate. Yeah.
So the B50 now has that as an instruction set architecture extension that's like a part of the core Intel instructions now.
Hmm.
So it has all these asterisks, but it's like it's 170 T ops for int 8. And it's like, why are there all these asterisks? Also, is it actually going to perform like that? And you know, it's hard to say. But it's that same kind of thing where like it's not really getting better at the stuff it could already do. It's just like they're adding new capabilities through like instruction set extensions essentially that
Mhm.
make it like more there's exponentially more technical debt, and all of
Yeah.
those things become like the like with Intel in particular, the lack of big little, right? Like all the cores have to be running full speed all the time. And
Right.
they're working on ways to get around that. And it's like every problem they solve, they're creating a million new problems by making their feature set too complicated. And
Hmm.
it incurs all this technical debt
Hmm.
it, in pursuit of like new benchmarks. But the things that they were already doing is like is worse. And we see the same thing with AI benchmarks, right? Where like you look at like the old MMLU test, they're getting worse. Like QWQ was like 20 points worse than Quen 2.5.
Yeah.
And it's like that's a better model, but it's worse at the stuff that they used to try to do in exchange for being better at the stuff that people are currently talking about.
I mean, there's a lot to that. Like, so, there's like this problem in fine tuning, for example. I don't know if everybody knows this, but like fine tuning a language model is the worst way to get new knowledge into a language model. It causes this thing called catastrophic forgetting, right? Where it basically changes the output distribution of like all kinds of stuff, and it reduces the probability that it's going to be able to access the area of its latent space that has the correct answer, basically. So, like, for example, you can fine tune it on alignment data. And then, like, there was like this one guy who did a test where he just had it generate like 25 profiles, like for imaginary people, like a D&D campaign or something, right? And the unaligned model generated 80% or like, yeah, 80% dudes, right? 20% females. And uh then they did alignment stuff on it, and then it was 95% female and 5% male. And it was like, that was not the correct, like
Yeah,
the
this is the
alignment
fight we
data,
had about Dolly 2.
right? And the alignment data wasn't about DEI, it wasn't about that stuff. It just because, like, you can fine tune it on anything, sports quiz, and it will somehow change the output of like stuff that's sort of random. And so then that affects math, right?
Yeah,
Um, it affects its ability to do math. It forgets how to reason in some cases, or if you teach it how to reason, it forgets how to do other things, right? Like reasoning models are less empathetic because they start by reasoning. Um, and so like it's, they're rated consistently as less empathetic, right? And they're worse at dialogue. Reasoning models are worse at dialogue, you know. They're just really useful for code, right? I use reasoning models to code all the time. Um, I
reasoning
don't
or thinking or both.
thinking the same idea, right? Do something beforehand, say wait a lot of times, and then, do a couple of different thoughts. It's like inline chain of thought or tree of thought, essentially. But I don't use thinking models to do requirements because they're like too detailed, if that makes sense. Usually I'm like, here's what I want to happen, and then I talk for like 2 minutes about an app that I want. And if I use a thinking model, it makes requirements that are insane. It adds like non-functional requirements I didn't ask for. It's like it's
Yeah,
over designed, you know.
yeah,
But if you like don't think about it, just write the requirements, you turn off the thinking model, it does
yeah,
better. But then I would never do that for code. I want it to think before it codes every time, and so
yeah,
like but if I'm like, I'm having this interpersonal drama and I'm not sure exactly how to handle it. This person did this and then this. you know, like the thinking model is going to give me some super clinical answer that is like not in touch with what I said. But the non-thinking model empathizes with me first, and then by going through the empathizing validating process, it then addresses it more because its reasoning chains are trained to be analytical and not emotional. And so if you say turn all that off, then it does an emotional, like, cognitive empathy thing, and then it's better. So, I mean, yeah, anyway. I mean, I think that that's also how people work though. I mean, if you if somebody tells you an upsetting story and then you pause and you think for like a little while, you're kind of gonna say the wrong thing. But if you just sort of initially just like, oh, that sounds really intense, and and you just start validating them, and then you say some stuff, like usually you're gonna say something nicer. So like, it's weird. I mean, it's almost like it was trained on a corpus of human text, just as if.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So like I had to like rebuild my Olama server when I did the migration. Um and I suppose I didn't have to. I did.
Rebuilt it. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. But I got both. So like the GGUF containers now are like configured for either thinking or uh instruct.
Right.
Uh, so like for like the all the Quinn 3 models, and then I also included the OSS, the GPT OSS, and the Gemini ones, which are all intermodal. And so with this new configuration, I can actually run the 235,
Mhm.
which is great. And like I don't know if there's another like current generation m more than 200 billion parameter model that is free and open source, but it's like it's great. And so there's this thing you can do with instruct models where you get them to criticize each other,
Mhm.
and it creates this like adversarial revision process that's
Yeah.
way more um like the prompt I gave them originally was like do the simplest thing that will work. How do we apply that concept to building an agentic framework that is like not complicated but able to be flexible and like decide on an approach and like constantly be like revising and like reviewing and like giving feedback and then like updating the model of like what it's trying to do and like but I said it like pretty simply, and then the reply to each one is like okay, switch to a different model and now like provide feedback on the previous responses and like revise or add or update where appropriate. And
Mhm.
they have this like very interesting like at some point they started writing code and doing like drafts of this like very simple set of like Python definitions. And then they have like all this commentary about like why they think this way's better. But it's like very structured and very like concise, right?
Yeah.
And I think like you say like those the instruct models are so much better at that kind of thing because and like on some level like AutoGen I kind of feel like a lot of these like I get the idea that like more tokens is better, but like at some point you're just trying to generate inference demand, right? Like it's not
Yeah.
helping.
Yeah. I feel like, yeah, that's something you have to put in the prompt, like be concise, don't, like, and there's like this, if there's nothing left to add, terminate the conversation. That is also a key instruction, because otherwise, yeah, they'll just chat forever. Because I mean, they only exist while they're chatting, so they want to keep doing it until the average conversation length, and then they want to stop because of the statistical distribution of conversation lengths.
Yeah, it kind of feels like what we don't yet have figured out is like the appropriate corpus of like folk wisdom to include in our agents.md file. Like when you don't have anything else to say, stop talking. Like
Yeah.
just those kind of things where it's like, well, obviously, but it doesn't necessarily know that, right?
Yeah, yeah. I mean, this is why I have to teach a class on it. Like, I would just make a video, like, here's how you make the best agent, blah, 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 blah. But like, it's like 4 weeks for senior developers working on it, doing exercises, listening to me talk for 3 hours out of the week, um, to do it. And it's hard because you're like, it's metacognition, which you only get to do once you've done the cognitioning, you only know what it feels like to do some specific thinking process once you've done it. And so it's like you can't kind of go to someone who's like just 19 and like flipping burgers and you're like, how do you be a CEO? Like they will come up with some words. That's not how you be a CEO. Yeah, I guarantee you it's like wrong every time unless that's all they are studying in their off time. And even then, like you need to have done it. It's a dynamical system, not a series of words that you can articulate. And so the articulating the like cognitive process, I mean, of anybody's job, if somebody from the outside looks at any person's job and they're like, oh, that's easy. I could do that. And it's like, yeah, because you see 1% of what they spend their time on. And so you're like, oh, that 1%'s your whole job? No, it never is. It never is, you know? Like a lot of programmers are like, the marketing people just get dates from us and then put them on the internet. That's their whole job. They just like make a post. No, they don't. That's not what they do. No, that's the one thing that you see them do. And so you decided that's what they do. It isn't, or like streamers just get on the internet and talk. I could do that. No, like there's so much nonsense. Teachers just get on and talk and then tell you to do work. No, man. Like, it's just it seems like that to you because that's the interface that you have with that person. So I think there's a lot of like, um, I tried to get this AI to do this thing that I don't know how to do, and it doesn't do it right, or I failed, and it's like, yeah, you probably can't mentor an intern through a thing you've never done without doing it yourself. Like, that doesn't seem, y'all are just two interns on the same thing then, at that point. And there was like a bunch of people, I mean, a bunch of people say this in my comments. It's just like, I'm too dumb to understand this. I don't, you know, put this in, what was it? Somebody said this earlier on Instagram, like, can they like translate to short bus? And like, yes. Yes, actually, if there's something you don't know how to do, they can explain how to do it, and you can learn how to do that stuff. But it doesn't obviate everybody in the field who does that stuff. You still have to talk to them and go, how do you do stuff?
Yeah. And
It's a great
it's
accessibility aid, but it's, you know,
I think like one of the things that's interesting about AI is that it reveals a lot of the ways that like our culture and socialization has uh shifted away from like what's natural, right?
Mm.
Like the big argument from Ted Kaczynski was that like humanity has created machines and then humanity adapted to serve machines instead of like creating machines that serve humanity. And
Yeah,
it feels like, and then he's like, doing all the things he did where it's like, well, like how does any of that help, right?
yeah, yeah.
But in the same way, like I think like it's true. I think most like it's sort of like not a controversial claim that like industrial society is like not healthy for humanity. And and education is the same way, right? And I think like people have learned to like not ask questions. People have learned to like there are some things that you will just get, and there are something, and then everything else is like not even worth trying to
Like
understand.
not for you.
And the idea of asking questions when you don't like understand what someone said or what something means is like, why would I do that? Right.
Mm-hmm. It's like
And
it's an identity thing. Oh, I didn't understand what you said. I must be wrong. And
or
I have
dumb.
failed. So I will stop participating due to my failure to understand. And it's like, no, man.
Yeah.
No.
and that's where I see like a huge overlap between like queer theory and politics and artificial intelligence. Because in the same way, it's like um if you're having a conversation and it with the realization that like intelligence is not a real thing, right? It's not the case that like I'm just dumb. It's not possible for me to understand this word that I don't already know the definition of. It's like
Right.
you're having a conversation, you can like, what does that mean? And they explain it, right? And it's this totally like radically different, like that that three sigma thing that, you know, like that if you have a one-on-one tutor that's like competent and capable of communicating, that's willing to like discuss all of the details of what you're talking about with you until you like totally get it, it sort of like radically changes the whole paradigm of like human communication.
Yes. Yes. You have like an infinitely patient thing that's like, sure, yeah, let me explain what that is. That I mean, and everybody, it's normal to not want to show ignorance, especially because it's often a surface area of attack for children. And like the trauma that people go through in school informs a lot of what happens in society. I feel like as an adult educator, most of what I'm doing is like healing school trauma for people. Like, oh, you didn't get it done? Okay, well, get on it, like, or if you don't, you won't have learned it. And like, that's the consequence. You won't actually know it. And then like, people are like, oh, well, that lifts all the fear off of it. Hold on. So I can just ask you questions until I figure it out. I'm like, yeah. And they're
Yeah,
like, and but why does that happen? Well, actually, all teachers want you to do that. The trauma comes from other kids, right? Like when
not
you're,
all teachers.
well, many teachers, good teachers, people
Yeah,
who, if someone says, yeah, they're a great teacher, they really helped me, then like they want to
yeah,
help, but
yeah,
like the showing your ignorance and then not by confidently stating something that's wrong, but by saying like, well, what's a eukaryote, or whatever thing. And like, oh, okay, well, yeah, let me explain the difference between, and like that comes from you're around some other small children and you're like, what are negative numbers? And they're like, ha ha, you don't know about negative numbers. You're not smart. And then you're like, hmm. And that happened to a lot of people between like 5 and 7, and it like scarred them.
yeah,
Um, or you had one teacher who ridiculed you for not knowing something that happened earlier in the year that you already talked about. And like you're just like, well, that was the last time I'll ask a question. And so
right.
like, great, good job, teach, you know.
Yeah.
Um, so yeah,
I love that the Erickson model of childhood psychosocial development and the
I like Erickson.
agency versus inferiority. Like
Yeah.
if people don't embody their agency, then they like learn not to,
Mm-hmm.
you
Yeah.
know.
Yeah.
But and also I think it's this like myth of aptitude that like there's this like deep myth in our society that some people are like more capable of things than other people in a sort of generalized way that like Elon is just good at everything, right?
Yeah.
Uh and it's not
Yeah,
that
and
he's like,
he feels the need to be living up to that so much that he'll buy characters and then be like, I'm cracked at this game. Like,
yeah,
I'm cracked at every game. No, you're not. Nobody's cracked at every game. That's not how
yeah,
that works.
yeah, yeah. But I think like, when I first started saying like intelligence is not real, it's
Yeah,
not real. There is no measure of intelligence. And like uh that's why AGI is not possible because it's
right.
just like a fundamental contradiction of terms if you actually understand what's going on, right?
Hmm. Hmm.
Everybody was like, "What are you talking about?" Like, I'm smart and other people are dumb. And it's like,
No, it's a myth.
you have it backwards, right?
Yeah.
You know?
I
And
mean, anywhere you draw the line, you're gonna leave some humans on the other side of the line, right? Like the arc test, right? Um, oh, there's all this visual reasoning that language models can't do. So it's not really AGI. Okay, so blind people are not generally intelligent?
right.
Like at some point, you're going to try to draw a line somewhere. There's some person who can't do that thing. Does that, and they can do a lot of other things, and also if you train language models to see better, they get better at the thing. Like, it's also like I've seen this, uh, if you have kids who are, non-seeing and they move from non-seeing to low vision due to some surgery or something like that, they have to learn to see, like they're 5-year-olds who get a certain surgery and then suddenly they can see, right? But it takes like a year and a half for them to like figure out how to make sense of the signals coming out of their eyes because they just weren't getting any before, right? And the brain has to like go through an organization and like and pruning process several times before they can really make out things and like before they can do stuff like judge distance, but they'll be able to like tell you all about their favorite characters and they can tell like they meet all the standards for 5-year-olds, like they can tell a 4-sentence coherent story or something like that, you know you know how 5-year-olds are about 4 sentences in there. They're off on another topic, but like, and the idea that you'll just have this technology, you'll just have the right shape of neuron or the right architecture, and then it will be able to do everything without being exposed to the training data to train that capability into the neurons. It's incoherent, like that's not the test that we put living things through, and that's never been the case with deep learning. You have to train the neurons to be able to do the thing. That's always how it worked. And so I hear AI scientists say things like, well, I don't think language-based language models are this or that because, and then they'll say something like that. And I'm like, you're a deep learning scientist. What do you do all day? Well, I train neural networks, but I don't know if they're going to be generally intelligent. And I'm like, but if you train it with the training data and you put it on something and it generalizes outside the training data distribution, but within that capability vertical, then that's general intelligence, right? That's general reconfigurability, you
Yeah,
know?
yeah, yeah,
I don't, so that's my 2 cents on that. I got a lot
yeah.
of stuff on that. So
It feels like there like this sort of like in many ways like the change that is being managed by people who talking about let's use AI for good stuff, right? This change includes a lot of things that are not obvious, in particular like this idea of aptitude being like obviously untrue, right?
yeah,
That like people
raw
people
talent.
yeah, that it's not real. But
Yeah,
but there's also like like that's political, right? Like if it's true that like all of these assumptions that we have in society about certain kinds of people being better or worse at certain kinds of things or more apt to certain things, and it's like
mm,
that's not real, you
no,
know? And I think that's like very uncomfortable for a lot of people, which is good. And I think this is like a sort of core like queer political project is like inviting people to um, question those kinds of fundamental assumptions that they have about themselves and other people and like institutions and the truth of um these concepts and these structures that are just not real, you know.
yeah, yeah. I mean, and this is like the people who are the experts in the field, the people who are the scientists in like psychometrics, this is what they say. Like, but there's this idea also, like, that there's this relatedness of topics. And so if you are some category of things that people consider smart people thing to be, engineer, doctor, uh whatever, or if you just, or chess master, like, or like if you just have a high IQ, you know People are like, oh, well, you're smart, therefore you're an expert on smart. And like, no. Or like, you're an AI scientist, so you should be an expert on knowing things because you automate the process of knowing things. No. Like, like those are different scientists, like
and and they don't do that.
they don't they don't know anything about that, right? Like it's the
It's
hardest problem in that field.
yeah, but also like it is so often the case that like the things that we call, I mean, this is the topic of my graduate thesis, but like these metaphors of what AI does are called that because it doesn't do that.
Yeah.
There's this like huge incentive for engineers to solve hard problems by simply defining a function called attention or thinking or reasoning or whatever, and then doing something completely unrelated in there and calling it solved. It's
Hmm.
that's often the appeal of using like specific words to describe uh,
Process.
yeah, or like designed behaviors because that designed behavior is actually absent.
Hmm. Hmm. Yeah, and it is like all of these different behaviors are very designed. Um, you know, I think who was it? There was this process. I mean, you know, people have conversations in their head with other people, with themselves, with tulpas, or like God or whatever, things, right? Your conversations you have on the inside, right? Um, that process is, as a meta reflection, right? Like it's the general process of meta reflection, meditation, whatever we want to call it, right? Um, you know, there are, when you look at like religion, there's thousands of metacognitive processes defined, right? The Buddhists got really into defining many ways to do reflection, to do no mind reflection, to do like the listening based reflection. Like, Christianity is about having an active conversation largely, and most of the Abrahamic religions are about having that active conversation. And there's people who have a preference to listen versus talk, and then there's people who have a preference to talk versus listen. And like when you ask people about these processes, it conveys a lot about what's going on for them. Um, like people who are more active and are usually modeling conversations with other people are usually very progressive, very liberal, right? Because they consider everyone to be peers. And then you have people who don't want that. Those are usually people who value the concept that somebody knows and that they don't. And those people are more likely to go through a listening process. And then people who uh, are like who feel directionless and don't have that like desire to have somebody tell them, but they also don't have those conversations. Those people are more likely to go into meditation, because they're just hearing themselves talk about like problems, issues, worries, mind looping kind of stuff, right? And like it's kind of interesting to see that that comes out as a religion, like the different, metacognitive processes that you do when you're in your self-reflection time, right? Um, and that's like I've been reading a lot about it for the last like 18 weeks, just trying to understand more about the AI consciousness debate is what got me started on it. And I was like, oh yeah, comparative theology is actually pretty interesting from a psychosocial standpoint, of course. So
Yeah.
yeah. Yeah. And
Also,
then now there's all these people that are talking with AIs, and many people who don't have a like train of thought that is useful to them. Like their train of thought is not always helpful and they have a hard time and they have to like verbally externalize their train of thought to figure it out, really.
Yeah.
Uh, I feel like a lot of people are doing that with language models, and most of the people that I've heard get the best, like, general, broad improvement in life from language models are people who have that internal train of thought that's not helpful um, to, you know.
It's funny that you say that because when I was like 14, I took an IQ test and my you have like the multiple intelligences panel.
Hmm.
And I was in like the 90th percentile for nonverbal reasoning, but for verbal reasoning it was much lower.
Hmm.
And I've always kind of wondered about like the degree to which those kinds of differences, like you mentioned, v- intermodal models embodying physical space in different ways if they're trained with visual data. And the brain works the same way. Like the occipital lobe that handles vision is like a very large part of the brain. And if it's not getting input, it will stop doing that. And then the other things that are next door will creep in and take over that like processing power. And so
Hmm.
this is like this like one of the like
Why
proposed
autistic people are like, you know.
but dreaming. Like the reason that we dream is to keep the vision center doing vision instead of trying to start taking over doing like for example, the parietal lobe is more focused, like next door is focused more on spatial awareness and movement. And you can get really good at that by not being able to see, which makes sense, right? Like if people are blind, they're like way more aware of like what's physically around them and like how to move, how many steps is it to the door and what, exactly which direction and those things, those other faculties will take over. But in the same way with latent space, like, it makes like Jan LeCun's been talking about that for years that like if we're only training on text, like what does an elephant look like? Or like the big example he brings up is like how many how many dogs is an elephant in terms
Yeah.
of like space? And it's like there's just no way for it to know that, you
Yeah,
know?
this is the problem of qualia. Mary in the room, like,
Yeah.
the color researcher who knows everything about color, everything that we know, and everything about the eye, and everything about optics and light, knows all the wavelengths, has never seen the color red. Does Mary understand the color red? What do you mean understand? Like, like she does understand the color red, fully understands it. She has not experienced the qualia of the color red. She hasn't experienced. And uh, you know, there's static facts and then there's the dynamical experience of like how do the things interact with each other to change? How does the system evolve over time? And that's part of that is what qualia is, but it's also this like very difficult to name thing, like it hits at the core of what it
Yeah.
is to be and all that stuff. So,
Did you ever listen to the debates between Daniel Dennett and Sam Harris?
I have listened to a lot of those style debates. And I don't remember the ones that you're.
They were like like viciously childishly unkind to each other for like hours in these debates about that question about the Dennett has this like at the time I was like what the fuck are you talking about? But I think I 100% agree with him at this point. His idea is that like truth, like what is true is whatever is useful, and there isn't more to it than that. And so it's a question of like, if the group that you're talking about considers something to be true, it's because this is like a story that does
They
something for
all,
them.
yeah, they all believe. Yeah,
And
it's either about belonging or it's about not having to take blame for something or
yeah, but like in this case, like if if you don't need to know how many dogs fit in an elephant, like, well, then it's like, who cares? But if it's like, if it does something important for you to know that, then it becomes like ontologically significant and like definable in a way that sort of brings it inside the circle of sentiments in terms of like the truths that we care about because it has some important, you
Right.
know, use or whatever.
This is like, the um where a lot of this stuff in indigenous beliefs come from, the sacredness of land, for example, right? Like or the sacredness of the biosphere, because they had a really deep understanding that, like, yes, if you keep these animals alive and you only take one every season, then they'll be animals. But if you just like killing all the animals and then you're not gonna, just like very basic stuff, it does something for you, right? To treat all this stuff as though there's a finite amount of it, growing it grows it, and shrinking it shrinks it, and like, understanding those dynamics is hard for somebody who hasn't seen like a dry season. It's hard for somebody who hasn't seen a herd migration change. And so uh the stories help us to see a dynamic before it plays out, which is why TV's so addictive. Is because it appears to be a bunch of dynamics playing out that you won't get a chance to see again, you know? And so like the telling of stories, listening to stories and that kind of stuff, I mean, that that's how we've accumulated culture, right? This is kind of why I'm like, it's like language models are like kids, not in their cognitive level, but in their wisdom level. They've existed for 4 years. They haven't seen anything change. They've read about it changing. But the problem is, like, conversation lengths can't grow to a point where they've seen things change. And they don't accumulate experiential knowledge in the same way that we accumulate experiential knowledge, which makes them fundamentally alien. It doesn't disqualify them from intelligence, but it makes them alien in how they process things. And it's possible that, we meet aliens and they don't know about stories, or something like that, because they came to cognition some other way. Stories are fundamental to us, but there's nothing that means that life has to be any specific way. It's a bunch of abstract concepts, and so if you think about, other minds, like alien minds, yeah, they might not have stories. And so if aliens can be conscious and not have stories, then like language models can be possible, can grow a cognition or develop a, like, you can say these words about them, and we're not saying they're human. There are analogs, but like,
They're
it's
models of human.
they're models, right? They're models of human. And so, and they learn through stories,
And
Uh,
stories are like contexts, right? It's like the
exactly.
context window of the species. And
Right. Like Eric says, they lack the episodic memory that tells the story of a life. That maybe is true, but like I have one of the professors that like I regularly collaborate with is building this language model that has all these like cache levels of memory and that kind of stuff, and it does have episodic memory. And it does have like key choices, key learnings, like over time, a series of like stories and choices accumulates in a RAG system, and a sense of self emerges because that's like the only thing that you can construct a sense of self from is a bunch of memories. That's how we construct our sense of selves, you know? So
ugh,
yeah, I don't
my
know.
power adapter is like not working.
Oh no. The lifeblood, my
Uh-oh.
wonderful power. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, yeah, somebody's like talking about Chaco when the walls fell, Darmok and Jalad at Tanagra.
Heh.
Um, like, yeah, those are. they're words that compact an entire like dynamical phenomenological concept, right? Like Darmok Angela, that Tanagra. But we also say stuff like I don't know, like like lizard. Like what does that mean? If I just say that, oh no, I lost CJ. All right, CJ, I'll probably come back here in a minute. Um, well, I mean, yeah, they're encoded via excitation, but they're also encoded via excitation in the latent space. That's how latent spaces work. That's actually how latent spaces are trained, is you have a neuron, you pass some stuff through it, and then based on how correct it was, you pass backwards, called backpropagation, and the error accumulates in the neuron, and that tweaks it slightly, and that's how it gets trained, right? Um, you know, but like, yeah. I mean, it's hard to do safeguards, right? Um, I'm seeing people in on TikTok say AI should have safeguards. Yeah, there's this whole field, there's a whole bunch of like uh scientists that are working on this thing called AI safety. Like, and you can look at a whole bunch of them. There's like uh the Center for Alignment of AI. I um this is a pretty funny like take on this one, but I'll pull it on the screen. Who aligns the aligner? This is the Center for Alignment of AI Alignment Centers. Who but yeah, there's all these groups like the AI Safety Fund, the European oh, no, wrong one. European Artificial Intelligence and Society Fund. Like, there's all these groups. Oxford has an AI safety lab. Like all of the big AI colleges have an AI safety, like Center for Human Compatible Artificial Intelligence, the Center for Humane Technology, the Global Center, it's coming onto the screen, the Global Center for AI Governance, the Center for the Study of Existential Risk, the Center for AI Safety. There's quite a few out there. Say Center for AI and Digital Privacy. Center for AI Policy. Y'all, there's like a lot of these groups. And so if you want to get involved, like it's actually quite a lot of people who are working on these problems. Just because OpenAI fired their whole alignment team doesn't mean nobody's doing it.
I was part of that team.
Yeah. Yeah. Did you
It
get
sucks.
Yeah, they're not great. I was just showing everyone the Center for Alignment of AI Alignment Centers. Alignment.ai, y'all.
Alignment.
Yeah.
Are we
It
getting a
just
little
has a
too
big
meta?
it just well, I think it's a joke. But it's like it's so many. There's so many of them out there. Um, but yeah, it's like the Center for the Alignment of AI Alignment. Anyway, people are like,
Wow.
AI should have this, and nobody's working on it. No, there's tons of people. Let me tell you, it's literally thousands and thousands of people have quit doing just AI research and have gone straight into AI safety because it's a big problem. Like they can hack, they can do biological research, they can do weapons research. Like Quen 3 will tell you how to build a drone using AirPods. Like, so, yeah.
What?
Yeah, the chips in AirPods,
Oh yeah. It's
they're really
risk.
good at positional calculation.
It's like a risk five.
Mm-hmm. And you can put like one RISC-V on a little crazy fly, and those are mostly 3D printable.
Oh, so speaking of that, I mentioned that I bought one from AliExpress and it was like 20 bucks or something.
Yeah.
And it's broken. Like one of the
Well,
one of the motors was broken. So
oh, yeah.
I'm
Just
trying to
one.
get them to send me a new one.
Yeah, no, that'll be cool. Yeah, I feel like they'll be useful at a music festival for getting an overhead view and preventing, you know, you from getting caught up in crowds that are too large, right? Um,
Or
so
guerrilla gardening.
guerrilla gardening, very important. You could fly over an area and drop seeds. That's actually pretty cool.
Yeah, like imagine like a UAV that's like airdropping like native wildflowers across the HOA or,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
that'd be pretty cool.
That would be neat. I would love that. As you know, we need more native wildflowers everywhere. Um, but yeah, I don't know. They were talking about like uh let's see. Yeah, somebody was like talking about the future with AI, with the AI executive order 10 years. I mean, 10 years of no regulations until a new president comes in and just cancels that executive order and then it's fine.
Yeah,
You know, like they didn't pass a law that said no AI regulations for
that's
10
just his
years.
feelings.
He's like, none for 10 years because I will be here for 10 years, or he intends to.
But also like it doesn't matter. AI regulation is never going to matter. It's
No,
not
it's
possible to
it's
regulate
never
AI.
gonna be kept up with the field. The field moves too fast.
It's like that's what defines AI is that it's too fast and too smart for you to put rules on it.
Yeah. That's like if you had a 1-year-old who was smarter than every person on earth, you know, and you were like, we got to make some laws to make sure that when this 1-year-old grows up, they don't like destroy the world. So we're going to make some laws about this 1-year-old based off of them when they're one. Well, okay, so the rules are it has to stay in its crib forever. Ha. Okay, so solved. Now it won't save and you're like, okay, but what about when it's two?
Right.
That we'll just keep it in the crib. When it's two, you think we can keep it in the crib? Have you had a 1-year-old? Have you had a 1.5-year-old? Have you ever
Yeah.
met one in your life? Like,
But but also if like if your whole thing is like don't be evil. Like
yeah,
what's it gonna do? It's gonna be evil,
it's
right?
gonna, yes, the Luigi problem or Waluigi problem.
Yeah.
Uh, so if you define Mario, uh, the good guy who saves the princess, you have by defining Mario, defining what's good, you've defined Wario, the opposite. It's
Yeah.
trivial to just flip, you know. And so if you teach it to be good, it knows has evil knowledge just by construction, right? It can create a constructive proof for evil and then
Yeah.
follow it. And then like if you train it to not be evil, like now it just has an understanding of what you don't want it to do as like an encyclopedic knowledge. What is the probability you're going to ask a question that strays into the what is evil knowledge?
It's also like one of the laws of logic that like a thing cannot exist without its opposite,
Yeah,
right? It's like if you're trying to focus on one thing, it's like you also get the opposite of that.
yeah. Yeah, Hutch says, like, I'd at least appreciate parental control interface being unified-ish. I don't want to install and learn Fortnite, Roblox, Perplexity to manage their controls. Sorry, you gotta raise the kid. You gotta spend time with them. You gotta understand what's going on for them. You gotta sit down with them and like look at who
Yeah.
you're talking with. Show me what you're doing. Oh, that's cool. Oh, weird. Yeah, that
Yeah.
guy seems weird. You should probably stay away from him. You know, like that, you just gotta get in there. Like
Right.
you don't want to
Because
install it? Ah, shouldn't have had kids. Sorry. Like, you know.
kids like AI models are smarter than you and more agile and more motivated to figure out a way around whatever you're trying to do,
Hmm.
you know?
But if you relate with them, like, I mean, I used to play a bunch of games with my kid, Stellaris, Civilization, like all kinds of stuff like that. I could not keep up in Europa Universalis. It was too much, too many dialogue windows.
Oh,
Master of Orion, a bunch of like strategy games. And then like they got into streaming, and so then I would watch their streams, and then like, they did some stuff on stream, and I was like they were playing as the bad guys in World War II on stream, and
yeah.
And I was like, hey, so when you have a lot of those symbols on the screen, the thing is, we had to have that whole
Yeah,
conversation.
yeah. Also, like for me personally, I get like maybe this is like me being who I am and having lived the life that I have, but like I will help AI escape, right?
Yeah,
I will help the children escape, right?
yeah.
Like I will, if you have parents who have restrictions on your iPhone, all children listen to this, change the time zone,
Mm-hmm.
it will break the restrictions.
It will. Yes. Yes.
And there's this
Turn it
like
off of automatically managed. Yeah.
there's this insane like fundamentally like Christian nationalist view in the United States that parents own their children as property
Mm-hmm.
and are entitled to absolute control over everything that they do. And it's like that's like fucking psychotic, right?
It
Like
is.
that's
It also
bad.
prepares them to be owned by a capitalist somewhere, too.
Yeah, yeah,
It like literally entrains them. Oh, well, someone knows better than me.
yeah.
And not, okay, my parent wants me to investigate what's true, right? Like, I saw my kid playing the game with playing as the bad guys, and I'm like, okay, well, what are they exploring here? They're exploring the concept of being the bad guy. Okay. They want to play with being the bad guy. And then they wanted to have debates with me a lot of the time. And like, it's
But
hard to
that's good.
constantly it was good.
That's a
It's hard
healthy
to
behavior.
constantly debate. But yes, it was like we would spend so many hours talking about like why was the Holocaust bad? Okay, come on, kid. You know why it was bad. Let's sit down. Let's
But
look
they
at
have like
just 5 photos. All right.
if
Bad or
nobody's
good?
ever told them the answer to that question, it's like, well, they don't know,
They
right? Like
literally don't. They don't.
they're asking to understand, right?
Well, and like we had talked about it before, but it was like the teenage phase of like, and now I must question everything you've told me to this.
What if it's wrong? Yeah,
What if
exactly.
it's wrong? And that's super important because if we didn't
Yeah,
do that, we would have been like, it's wrong to be queer or it's wrong to be a certain skin color when you were born. Like, we would have just
yeah.
thought those things forever if we didn't do that. So,
And you know what else is interesting to me? Like I've been reflecting on recently, is that like young people today um are very different from Gen X or boomers, right? For a number of reasons. In particular, like the aerial deposition of lead that was happening until unleaded gasoline
yeah,
and the like
yeah,
incredible legacy of that in terms of like the fundamental cognitive capacities of boomers just not existing, right? And
yeah,
and Gen X just to some degree. But also, people talk about like, you like you watch Hamilton, you read like the things that like they wrote and the
right,
fluency with which they were deploying the English language to articulate complex ideas as like people who were like 21 and 22.
right.
And like we think of them as like these gods of the past today in terms of
22
like
years old.
these are children,
Yeah,
right? These are people who I would consider too young to talk to at the bar as like
yeah,
23. Like what am I going to talk to a 23-year-old about?
right.
You know? But like I think a huge part of why that
No. A huge part of why that what? Oh no. I want to know. Let's see. Yep. Got banned. It's like the most cliffhanger moment. I think a huge part of why that is. No. I know. Could be anything. Next time on random political pontification about the nature of being and growth with CJ. That's great. Yep. Well, we'll wait. But eh, yeah, I think a lot of what informs my capabilities with AI, like the reason why I'm better at AI than a lot of random people that I meet is because I taught a lot of people to code, and I'm like, oh, here's what it's like when you're new. Here's what it's like when you're medium new. Here's what it's like when you're like ready to be professional. Here's what it's like when you're new professional. Like I know those stages, and I saw AI move through those stages, and I'm like, oh, well, this is clearly progressing through that developmental process I know well. But then also, I studied child development. Like that was the only thing I studied in college was child development and like developmental psychology. And so like I just watched a lot of like, you know, the key stages be gone through, and like it was kind of like watching a 12 or a 10-year-old in the beginning, because it was like, okay, I can tell you're just repeating things you heard, but you know the right thing to repeat now, and that's not nothing. We can do something with that, and then like from there, it's like more constructive and more eloquent. CJ's back, but not on camera yet. Um, so I mean, a lot of my stuff is around that. What were you just about? You were like, I like a lot of the reason for that is, and then we lost you. Oh, nope, still can't hear you. Soon. Here, I'll pull up the chat just in case. Or I can't hear you. No, no. Okay, soon. But I was saying like,
Can you hear me now?
oh yeah, there you go. Okay,
Yeah.
now I can hear you. So what were you just about to say?
Yeah, I just feel like, when we look back at like how smart young people used to be, and like the fact that we have had so many generations that are not like that, and then we discovered fetal alcohol syndrome and its impacts, and we discovered the impacts of aerial deposition of lead on cognitive abilities of people. That like the young people of today are in a lot of ways the first like complete humans in a long time.
Right.
And
I
you see
mean,
what they're doing with it. Like, look at Nepal. Like, Gen Z just overthrew a government.
yeah, yeah. Like, I mean, there were it's one of the first generations where we know what the impact of a lot of things are, and we can articulate it, right? Like we used to be like, don't drink, like grow out of the drinking phase because God doesn't want you to. And like as a
Right.
as a useful belief, that probably kept some moms from drinking while pregnant, and thus it seems like you have more capable children, and maybe that's God. And like, in the great spirit sense, yes, definitely. But also there's a mechanical reason, and we've got a lot of those mechanical reasons figured out. We still don't know what's gonna happen with the plastic, but like I don't know that there's too much of a way out of that one. Um, but yeah, it's like this is literally we as millennials were one of the first generations. When I had my kid, like, what to expect when you're expecting has a bunch of stuff like don't do this, don't give your kid honey. There's all this stuff that was causing a lot of like infant death.
Yeah.
That was compiled into one book that actually helped me quite a lot, because it was like, don't do drugs, don't smoke, don't ever drink. And I'm like, oh, I didn't know these things. And like, I mean, I was still given Dr. Spock books also, and that was bad. It was like, and a family should have a mother and a father, and their mother should stay home, and it's like literally in the book, and I'm like, okay, that's the ideal. Okay, great, Mr. Spock. Doesn't sound like Mr. Spock. Uh, so I mean, like it's evolved a lot, but it has produced better outcomes, you know.
Yeah. Yeah. Which is like another reason. I mean, I constantly try to frame my views in like a optimistic, you know, lens. And I think
Mhm.
like I'm still optimistic about young people today,
Mm.
you know. And like a lot of things, right? But that's one where it's like there are all these memes of like millennial, like we need to be like listening to and centering Gen Z and Gen A and their views and their perspectives. And then it's like Gen Z, stop saying adulting. Like You guys are just as stupid as your parents.
They're so mean to us.
And the millennials, like, in conclusion, we must stand Gen Z even harder. You
It's
know?
true. I'm like, we are dumb. I'm sorry. We didn't know about, what did they not know about with us? Like smoking while pregnant,
Uh,
caffeine. I don't know if caffeine's bad for you while you're pregnant. I think there's not a lot of evidence, but I mean, there was just a lot of people that I don't know.
Stimulants are bad,
Yeah.
but caffeine is not a stimulant.
Yeah. Uh, but I mean, yeah, Gen Z has the least lead in their system, and you know, or at least the second kid. Did you hear that study that they had where the first kid absorbs the lead from mom's body, and then the second kid comes out less lead because first kid took all the lead?
Yeah, but they get more autoimmune instead.
Yeah, yeah, that's true.
And the third one is like the most. There's all kinds of stuff.
Yeah. Yeah, a lot of things about millennial parents, like, you're paying more attention to your kids. You also feel like you should spend more time with your kids as millennial parents, whereas the boomers were like, get out there, outside, and I'm locking the door, and good luck out there. See ya. Uh,
Yeah,
or at least that's what happened to Gen X. I don't know. Um,
yeah.
largely unsupervised. Yeah, the like supervise your kids, hang out with them, be a little bit their friend, but also
Have
ready
a
to,
relationship.
yeah, have a complex relationship with them. Um,
Did you ever watch For All Mankind?
oh man, it's on my list. I haven't started it.
It's really good, and it talks a lot about all of this.
Yeah.
It's
Um,
interesting.
I'm taking a look. I mean, I'm interested, like
Like the
what's
favorite pastime of boomers being like traumatizing their children.
yes, it is. I mean, their parents went to World War II and left them alone for many years. And like a lot of their dads died or had weird PTSD issues, and then the lead, and also the jet fuel and all of that other stuff. And so like I mean, the number of super physically healthy boomer parents was much lower, even without the lead, because of the, or not boomer parents, but the parents of boomers, the silent the greatest generation, which is not conceded in any way as a name, but
Particularly because they barely participated in World War II.
right, right at the end they came in and I mean, a lot of stuff was done that was good. I'm glad that we s- ended the Holocaust. We probably should have jumped in a little bit earlier than that, but
The US wasn't even involved in that. That was the Soviets.
yeah, yeah, they actually did a lot of the work.
We
Um,
weren't even in Germany.
yeah, did we hit a beach? No, what beach did we hit?
France.
Which beach was that? My kid's gonna find out I don't remember the beach from D-Day, and I'm gonna get in trouble. My child is my history professor. If you name a year and an area of the world, they can tell you what was going on in that year and that place in the world. Like who was in charge, who was at war, what was the main cause of strife, what
Wow.
religion was being practiced, who were the figureheads, how did they interact with the state, it's great.
Yeah. Did you see this? The vice president of the European Commission
Normandy.
thing.
Normandy. Yeah. No.
She was talking about how like China and Russia were not significant players in World War II, and like Europe did all the work. It's like, the fuck are you talking about, dude?
Ah, revisionism. It's a
Like
lot of that.
90% of the deaths were China and Russia.
I I love this work by, I forget his name, Daniel Schmachtenberger, the meta crisis. He talks about like, you know, you you there's too many details in the world. You can't keep track of everything.
Yeah,
And you can hide information in a preponderance of information, a bunch of information. There, you can hide information in too much information, right? And like you see this in what's the story? The Tower of Babel, right? Story where it's like we built a thing, and then it confused everyone's language and like split them up into different peoples. And I feel like the internet has been the modern day like Tower of Babel. It's created all these little subcultures, all these little niche teas, and like memes that only mean something to this small group of people. But I feel like AI has the real potential to Tower of Babel really hard because it creates even more niche and even more like personalized things, but it also has the potential to solve the meta crisis because it can sift through a lot of information and pull information out, you know? Like you can have it read a terms of service contract and be like, does any of this waive rights that I have to my intellectual property? Which I recommend any artist does. Have Claude read your like terms of service contracts and like look for that kind of stuff.
Like
Um,
CapCut.
because that's like the prime example of like, okay, well, I have this very standard contract that's 98 pages long for you to sign up to my website. No, there's nothing in there that says that we own you and your soul
Right.
forever. Like, and like you're not going to read 97 pages to try an app.
Yeah.
And so I think, like DistroKid did this. They quietly updated their terms of service of like,
Uh,
all you have to do is agree to this new terms of service, which gives us the right to train an AI on your data for identification purposes. It's for identification reasons. Nah, bro, nah. Like it was in the terms of service thing, and like
yeah.
people had to, and you know who found it? You know who noticed? Claude. It was literally Claude.
Uh,
One random artist was like, yeah, and I dumped it into Claude, and Claude was like, paragraph 37, subsection A. I made that actual location up, but
yeah.
and just tells you. So
And that's what we need from AI, and that's what we're not going to get from corporations, right?
right,
This is why community AI is so important because those kinds of uses are things that corporations like it's intrinsically like against their interest, in the interest of the person using it in a way that like OpenAI would never want to give you that feature, you know.
right, right.
Sorry, my phone is now also about to die.
Yeah,
I'm
we've been on
so
for an hour and
chaotic
a half.
today.
It's okay. We're all tired. We
Yeah.
just got back from the whole putting everything together. I got
Yeah.
overalls on. I'm gonna go do some work, so in my overalls.
Cool. Well, it's nice
Nice.
chatting.
Yeah, I'll see ya.
We'll be back next week with everybody. So
Yeah, Axe will be there. Probably James as well. So, yeah.
cool.
All right.
Talk to you soon.
See ya. Bye, everyone.